Welcome to this edition of QIS. Today we shall be discussing about transparency. I am Isaac. The aim today is to ensure that the organization, school, or church project is registered with the tax authorities and that they meet all their tax obligations. We shall talk about the different taxes and other statutory obligations. Learning outcome today, the different type of taxes. We shall talk about the best practices in tax. We shall talk about NSSF compliance, and we shall also hint on insurance. First up is income tax. This is tax that is charged on income from all sources throughout the year. That is according to Income Tax Act. Note that NGOs are exempted from income tax, and the condition is that all their income should be directed towards the activities for which the NGO was registered. For example, if the NGO was registered to provide education services in form of training teachers, providing scholastic materials to children, name it, or even provision of school fees, any income that the organization earns that is directed straight towards these activities, which is provision of school fees, provision of scholastic materials, training of teachers, is tax exempt. Please note that you are required to process income tax exemption with URA on a timely basis. They will give you an expiry date for that income tax exemption. You still need to refile your return though. Pay as you earn, or call it PAYE, or other people will want to call it payroll tax or employment tax. This is tax charged on payroll or on employment income. In Uganda, you are required to file this return for PAYE on a monthly basis, and the due date is 15th of the following month. For example, if you charge tax, employment tax, or PAYE for this case on June, in the month of June, then by the 15th of July, you must file a return and make the payments to URA. Kindly note that any outstanding balances or money is not paid by the 15th of the following month will attract an interest of 2% per month on a straight line basis. Withholding tax is tax that is charged at source. Any person paying any amount for professional services, that is audit, asset valuation, consultancies, name it, the paying entity, and that I mean the entity that received the service, should withhold 6% and remit that amount to URA by the 15th day of the following month. You may also be required to withhold from supplies, and this is normally for the gazetted organizations. If please check on with URA to ensure that you are gazetted. If you're not, it's fine. If you're gazetted and you're not remitting it, then the responsibility relies on you. Value added tax or sales tax. Since NGOs are the final consumers of the products they buy, in many cases they don't buy to sell. That's why I call the final consumers. You must always ensure that you transact with persons or companies that are tax compliant, and any company that is charging VAT must be fully registered to do so, and that they are remitting it to URA. And find out that they are remitting it to URA if they give you a valid and authentic tax invoice that is generated directly from URA web portal. And there is a provision for you to check whether the invoice given to you by the supplier is authentic on the URA web portal. The tax-based practices today, make sure you register for tax with URA, that is tax identification number. Ensure you register for the necessary tax heads, for example, income tax, motor vehicle, stamp duty, import and export, PAYE, withholding tax, excise duty, name it. You register for the tax that applies to an organization. For example, an NGO would expect you to register for income tax because you're exempt. I would expect you to register from for payee, if you have employees that you pay taxes to, motor vehicle if you expect to buy motor vehicle in the near future, withholding tax if you have been gazetted to withhold from supplies. Ensure that you transact only with tax compliant suppliers. You make sure your suppliers bring you tax clearance certificate from URA. Ensure that you file your return regularly and you make all the necessary payments. In Uganda, excuse me, in Uganda you are required to withhold 5 in Uganda as an employee you are required to withhold 5% of the employee gross salary and add 10% of their gross, that is a total of 15%, and remit that to NSSF. This is a law and you can be prosecuted for not doing it. So make sure you are always compliant with that. Insurance, remember that as employees are in your premises, it is the sole responsibility of the employer to ensure that they are safe. So I would request you to consider workers' compensation for the employees just in case they get accidents while at work, and you can also provide medical insurance for your staff. References for today is Workers' Compensation Act, Employment Act, Income Tax Act, National Social Security Fund Act as amended in 2019, and the Domestic Tax Laws Handbook. Thank you very much, and God bless you.